Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Welcome. My name is Felicia from Sweet Georgia and also the School of Sweet Georgia. And we are meeting here today for our live stream, for our live office hours for the School of Sweet Georgia. And this time that we do every month, it's about the last Thursday of every month at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. And we meet here to basically go over things that have happened inside the school, what's been going on, and just to catch up about what is coming in the school as well, what we have planned for in terms of content, make-alongs, all sorts of things like that. So today I have lots and lots of things to share. And normally the way that we do these sessions is they run for about an hour. If you can't stay for the entire thing, that's totally fine. We do record these and we archive them and we keep them in the School of Sweet Georgia archive, so you can go and check that out at any point in time. But today I have lots and lots of things to chat about. And yes, today in Vancouver, it is rainy. Yesterday was beautifully sunny and today is rainy, but it's good. We need the rain. It's going to be great. It's nice to see you guys all here in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. So normally the way that we do this is we start with like a little bit of agenda. I'll talk a little bit about sort of what's been top of mind, what are the latest updates, what are the events that are coming along very shortly, maybe new courses, new content that we have coming out. And then at the end, we do a sort of a show and tell section. And so I will share some of the things that our members have shared inside the School of Sweet Georgia forums. Basically anything that you've made, beautiful things that you want to share, just a lot of celebration of your wins. And so we're going to do that as well today. But the first thing that we want to talk about is sort of what has been top of mind. And so I don't know if you guys have managed to jump into the SOS forums recently, but in the forums, I did put in a little blurb saying that we were testing a little bit of a new bit of technology, a little bit of new community technology that we are looking at using. And so this is something that I do want to share with you guys. There's going to be a bit of conversation about that. And some of you I know have already jumped into the new community and have been checking it out and testing it for the past week. So I appreciate your feedback on all of that. It's been super, super helpful to see how people are interacting in this new space. But yeah, let me talk a little bit more about this. So we have been, for the past while, test driving a new platform for community. It's a new community space, and it's built on a software platform called Circle. And so the idea behind this is a lot of things. If I can sort of like go back in time a little bit and explain a lot of the reasoning behind all of this. When I first started writing my blog in 2004, the whole idea was basically to meet and find other people who liked things that I liked. I didn't know anybody in my vicinity who could knit. I didn't know anybody who liked to spin. I didn't know any spinners at all. And so just putting myself out there, writing some stuff about the things that I liked and sharing some of that was a way to meet and connect with other people who also liked similar things. And so tapped into a whole world of other people who were knitting, people who were learning how to spin, people who were learning how to dye their own yarn, all these kinds of things. And so that part of it was so important and so motivating, and it was a big driver in being able to continue to make things. And a lot of the creativity and the spark comes from connections with other people. So I believe that it's so important to have this community connection, and to be able to communicate back and forth. And without a community space, a lot of times it feels like we're just broadcasting, or I am just broadcasting. We're just sending one-way messages out into the world. And so without sort of back and forth feedback and comments, it just becomes this place where you just say things into the black hole of the ether, that sort of feeling. And so we have been developing this space behind the scenes. And the idea of it is it will be sort of like a paid community membership space that encompasses the bigger and broader Sweet Georgia community as a whole. And so you, as an SOS member, as a member of the School of Sweet Georgia already, you will automatically get access to this community space. And so I'm going to share more about the space and walk through it in great detail on Monday. So on Monday, June the 2nd, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to do a sort of a public live stream about this and walk through all of the features and all of the functionality and all that kind of stuff. But that will also be recorded. So in case you can't make it for that, you can watch it later if you would like. But otherwise, if you are able to join us, the link, the very, very long link for it is down here. community.sweetgeorgiayarns.com/live/introducing the Sweet Georgia community/public. All of that is there. So I'm going to give you a quick sort of couple of bits bits of information from that talk that we're going to do on Monday, just the parts that are mostly relevant to you as an SOS member. And so this is kind of like a very, very rough history of where we came from. So in 2004, like I said, started a blog called Sweet Georgia. And a lot of the community, all the people that I met, all the people that I interacted with through the comments of that blog, of that website. And, over time, it's been over 20 years and things have changed. Technology has changed. Lots of platforms have come and go. There's been just lots of evolution. And so you can see in 2007, Ravelry was founded. And so we started a group on Ravelry. And so, like many, many people on Ravelry, we had a group. I don't know how many knitting groups there must be on Ravelry now, but we had a group. We still have a group. It's still there. We still post to it occasionally and things like that. But yes, we had a Ravelry group. And then during that time, Facebook has come out, and then there was Instagram came out. And, in 2012, we published our very first YouTube video. It wasn't until many, many years later that I started to get a little bit more serious about making videos and posting videos on YouTube. But the very first video was in 2012. I filmed it using the webcam inside my computer, and there was no audio. So all of the comments on that video are, "We can't hear you. We don't know what you're saying. We can't hear you." So we've learned a lot since that moment. But yeah, and then in 2016, we joined Instagram. Um, and then in 2017, we started the School of Sweet Georgia. And so the community that we've built through the School of Sweet Georgia has been in the SOS forums. So the community space that we created in the School of Sweet Georgia has been very, very vibrant, tons of deep learning, a lot of communication, and all sorts of things like that. But in 2023, we decided to start something that was a bit of an experiment. And we talked about how this was an experiment to try and create a space on Discord to gather people together who weren't necessarily in the School of Sweet Georgia, but were still in sort of the world of Sweet Georgia. So if you weren't necessarily actively taking classes, that you would still have a place to go. And so that was a bit of an experiment. And just trying to see if we could bring together people in a space that was separate from Ravelry, a space that was separate from the school, a space that was just separate from social media, just our own little space. Now, over all of these 20 years, we've discovered lots and lots of things. Things have changed. Technology has changed. There's newer technology now, of course. But there's been challenges for sure, definitely. Like in 2016 is when Instagram changed from being a chronological app to being an algorithm based app. And so you guys will all have noticed that in, I don't know, the past couple of years, you'll notice that the people that you follow don't necessarily show up on your feed anymore. I know for me, I see a whole bunch of content that I didn't actually ask for or didn't necessarily want. And so a lot of stuff is based on the algorithm. The other thing that we notice a lot more is that there's a ton more ads. There are ads everywhere in our social media. There's ads on YouTube. There's ads everywhere we're going. And that is a deterrent. It slows down a lot of this communication that we want to happen, this community building that we want to happen. The other thing that's been happening is there's been a lot of overwhelm, I think, with how much content there is. I remember reading a stat this morning that something like, oh, it's just like millions and millions of photos being posted every single day to Instagram that it needs to figure out like what should you be seeing. And so it's just overwhelming how much content is out there. And then we were finding similar things happening on the Discord space that we created. There's like occasional spam that pops up, and there's very often this feeling of overwhelm that there are a lot of conversations happening at the exact same time in one particular chat channel. And it can be difficult to sort of separate out what conversation is what and who's talking about what. And so, yes, definitely, that's something that we have been looking at. And then also just ways of organizing the information. And so, one of the things that I found is that just since starting this new sort of community platform and doing a little bit of a test drive there, I'm already starting to see people making connections where they've been in the same space for years already. But now the connections are so much um, nicer, and just learning more about each other, I think, has been really, really a positive experience just in the past week. So I'm looking forward to looking at more of this and going more in depth with this. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how it makes a difference for an SOS member and sort of what's the difference here and what's kind of going on here. And so this is kind of how I picture the journey of somebody who's joined the School of Sweet Georgia. So I have in the middle here, I have my little SOS logo, which has always been this idea of like this interconnection between all of the different crafts that we do. So you're doing fiber prep and then you're dyeing fiber, you're spinning the fiber, you're looking at color, you're looking at design, you're taking that yarn that you've made and you're either knitting with it, crocheting with it, weaving with it, doing tapestry with it, whatever. But there's this cyclical, multi-craftual mixing and blending of all of the different crafts that we're doing, right? And so this is all the things that we're learning inside the school. Now, before you come to the school, you are very much possibly learning a lot of these crafts on your own, right? You might have started knitting during COVID and then all of a sudden decided, oh, I'm interested in learning how to spin. Where am I going to find information about how to spin? Maybe you're looking online, maybe you're looking in YouTube, maybe you're meeting other people. So a lot of the stuff is happening kind of on your own. And so my hope is that when you join the School of Sweet Georgia, that you're kind of like in this circle or in this cycle where you are moving through all of the different crafts and you're maybe learning a little bit about how they overlap, learning about how they can be used together, but you're kind of like in a mode of learning a lot of things. Um, but like we talk about with school, you go to university, you go to college, maybe you go for a couple of years and you're learning all the stuff, you're in learning mode, but then you want to come out and you want to actually make things with the knowledge that you've gained. You are making stuff again on your own. And so, like, if you have left the school or you're kind of like, oh, I've taken all the classes I need to take right now, then you're still kind of left in the space where you're on your own again because you don't necessarily have access to the SOS forums anymore. And so that community that was built, that you discovered through the SOS, all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, how do I talk to those friends now? And so this is part of the reason why we're wanting to create this Sweet Georgia community that is sort of outside of Sweet Georgia, outside of the School of Sweet Georgia, but kind of encompasses the time before you join the school. It encompasses the time while you are at the school, and it also encompasses the time after you feel like you've taken the classes that you need to take and you're still making and you're still on this journey of making things, but you still want to do it in community with other people. And so that's kind of the idea behind all of this. Now, if you are an SOS member, you can already access this new community platform that we're working on. And so basically, you just go to your School of Sweet Georgia account, you log in, and then you go to the page schoolofsweetgeorgia.com/circle. And so we can put a link to that somewhere here. Let me see here. I can put that in here and I'll pop that in the chat for you here. But yeah, if you are a member of the school, you can already go there and you'll see a link to connect to the new community. And then you join with the same email address that you use for your SOS account. And then you just jump in and you will be able to find a lot of the SOS members in there already. We are going to open this up to the public as well. So it will be your SOS people and other people in the Sweet Georgia community. So everybody. So yeah, on Monday, I'm going to walk through sort of the inside of how this all looks and what you can find inside and things like that. But sort of to give you an idea of what the difference is between the Sweet Georgia community that's more public, that's broader, versus the School of Sweet Georgia, is basically that the Sweet Georgia community is going to be a little bit more informal. It's going to be more peer based, kind of helping each other out. There's definitely going to be some different events that we're going to host within the community because of the technology that is available. So, one of the challenges that we have had over the past is that, some of our meetings are held on Zoom. It's kind of like a holdover from, you know, pandemic days. So we have some meetings on Zoom, and then we have some meetings on Google Meet. And if we have some meetings on Circle, we have some meetings that we do here on YouTube as a live stream. So there's a lot of things in a lot of different places, and sometimes it's difficult to remember where we are meeting, and that is also like a little bit of a challenge. So there is this modern technology that is built into the new community platform that allows us to have all these meetings, all the live streams, all the everything inside one space. There is also a mobile app. And so this is one of the things that people have told me that they really miss about the school is that we had an app, and then we had to pull it off of the app store because it was causing a lot of problems. And so we had to discontinue the SOS app. And it's not like we might not revisit that in the future because, again, technology changes. So we have to sort of keep looking at what technology is available. So when the technology is available and it is ready to be used again, we can look at making that app for the School of Sweet Georgia. But right now, for this community space, there's a really good, clean, like just it works. The app works really well. And there's also a desktop app as well. So if you want to use the community on your desktop, that works as well. And then in the school, we are going to continue to focus on skill development and mastery of skills. So going very, very in depth with the courses. We want to make sure that the school is really a good space to learn the content and work through a lot of the educational side of things. So that we have provided like 115 courses already that are like multiple hours. This is hundreds of hours of classes that you could take. But we also want to provide a little bit more support around that. And so, the School of Sweet Georgia, we're going to look at these study groups that we had in the past, and we really want to bring them back in a really efficient and effective way. So, we're going to be doing these things that are kind of like guided learning paths. So we already have created learning paths for everybody in the school. So if you wanted to learn how to spin from scratch, we kind of like walk everybody through that sort of process. Um, but as well, we're kind of like looking at self-directed study groups as kind of offshoots and exploratory cohorts, if you will, that kind of idea. And so all of the education, all of the really deep support, all of the advanced techniques, all of those kinds of sort of the deep learning is going to happen on the school side of things. So here is just one example of what that kind of looks like. So we have here the idea of learning how to spin, right? And so right now you can go through this with Greta right now in her fiber prep meeting and spinning meeting on Mondays. She's kind of doing this right now where everybody's kind of working through the spinning up a level worksheets, and they're working through all of the spinning up a level drafting techniques in that course. And so in that spinning class, you're learning short forward draw, you're learning short backward draw, you're learning long draw, you're learning worsted spinning, woolen spinning, just all of the different drafts. And so she's kind of walking through that right now. So that would be kind of like a guided learning path, getting you the fundamentals of spinning and just improving your skills and techniques in that way. And then all of these other things, these explorations off to the side, they're like side quests. Um, they're like little trails that you can explore. I always think of like learning things as going into the woods, and you're at the trailhead, you follow the main trail, and then all of a sudden you get to a spot where there's all of these potential alleys or these avenues that you could go down, and you kind of have to decide which one do you explore now, which rabbit hole do you go down. And so maybe the rabbit hole that you want to go down is learning about how to spin silk, or maybe it is learning about different yarn structures, or maybe it's specifically about learning to work from fleece. So these are all like offshoots of the main fundamental idea of spinning. And so maybe you're wanting to do some of this with a group of people from the school. And so this is one of the things that we're going to be talking about this September. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But we were inspired by Linda, who's in our SOS community, who was spinning some 3-ply crepe yarn and kind of like trying to get into learning how to spin more of these sock yarn structures. And so we're kind of inspired by that idea. And so in September, we're wanting to do a group, like a group cohort, where we can all sort of work through these sock yarn structures together and sort of learn how to spin crepe yarns together. What are the things that we need? And there's going to be, my hope is, a lot of helping each other in this space. And there's going to be a lot of learning about, like, how do you measure yarn? How do you measure your twist angle? How do you make sure that you have enough twist? What does wet finishing do? Like all sorts of things like that. So one of those kinds of studies in September. And then later on in February, we've been making something called the Fiber Prep February. And so in February, we're going to do another sort of study, but that one will be more fiber related. So it might be bast fiber, it might be silk fiber, it might be blending fiber, it might be something else, but it will be more fiber based. So we want to do one that's more structure based and one that is more fiber based. So that's kind of what we are thinking around the spinning side of things. And then same with a weaving side of things. If you kind of flesh this idea out in the weaving side of things, like a fundamental of learning how to weave. So, the learning path of learning how to weave is basically learning how to wind a warp, learning how to dress a loom, learning how to read a weaving draft, learning how to figure out how much set is required for your yarn, how to sample, how to do warp calculations, all of those kinds of things. So, the fundamentals of how to weave some cloth. And then from there, there's all of these offshoots, sort of these side quests that we can kind of explore. So maybe it's exploring weaving twill. Maybe you want to weave a twill gamp. Maybe you want to weave twill blankets. Maybe you want to weave twill on 4 shafts. Maybe you want to weave twill on 8 shafts. So there's like a whole world of things to explore if you just want to explore twill. And then if you want to go into lace weaves, you could do loom controlled lace. You could do finger manipulated lace. There's like a lot of other things that you can do there. And then there's block weaves and double weave. And I mean, I have not listed all of the rabbit holes that you can go down in weaving, obviously. But these are just ideas of things that we can kind of tackle together. So, yeah, absolutely. So, this is something that we are looking at for the future. And I'm seeing here Elena saying, I would love to do a dive into carding from washed fleece, especially with a drum carder. Yes. So we have done a little bit of content on drum carders, but not a ton. So that was one of the ideas that had come up in one of the past content prep meetings that we were talking about drum carders. But we've also been talking a lot about blending boards because blending boards are really, really accessible and great to have. But yeah, absolutely. Working with multiple tools. And yes, Linda, Bikes and Knits. Yes, that is the study group idea was, again, like very much inspired by what you were doing there with your crepe yarns. So that is what we are thinking. It's definitely like these two parts. We've always said, like, the school is two halves of a whole. And one half is the content and the courses that we're doing. And then the other half is the community around all of those courses. And now the idea is just basically to make the community bigger and wider so that way we can encompass a larger part of your journey. So the time before you join the SOS and you're deep diving into content, and the time after you've sort of like consumed all the content and now you need to put it to practice and then working through all of that. So this is a lot of the idea that we have around this. Now, just as a reminder, this is where you can find the SOS community. So the School of Sweet Georgia / community is where a lot of the conversations are happening. This is where you can message the instructors of the courses directly and ask them questions, ask for feedback. And so a lot of stuff is happening in there. And yes, you'll find the study groups and all of that information in here as well. And in the coming months, we are going to be updating the SOS community as well. And there is a more mobile friendly version of this as well. So that is all coming. So lots of improvements coming to that. But yeah, again, if you have not yet jumped in to try it, I encourage you guys to go check it out. It is at schoolofsweetgeorgia.com/circle. And then you can get the link to join the new community space and then let me know what you think. And yeah, hope it will be helpful to everybody. So now, just to share with you what else is coming in the school and what else we have planned coming forward. Wanted to let you know that Kim's class is the latest one that was released on the school. And so this one is about spinning bast fiber. This is a beautiful, beautiful course. And the yarns that Kim has spun are absolutely gorgeous. They are so lovely. If only you could touch and feel Kim's yarns, they are just so amazing. But she shows you the entire process of how she blends these bast fibers in with various different kinds of wool. So she does some with Corriedale, she does some with merino. She's blending a bunch of things on the blending board. She does it with hand cards as well. It's really, really lovely. So here, I'm going to show you another photo of all of the yarns that she spun and blended. And so you can see here, there's Corriedale with nettle, Corriedale with rami, Corriedale with flax, 100% Corriedale. And then she does them as 10% blends and then as 20% blends. So you have an idea of how these all work together. And if you are curious about spinning with these bast fibers, the bast fiber kit, which we did as a pre-order initially, like earlier on this winter, like February, I think we did this bast fiber pre-order. We're going to do another one right now. So we're doing another pre-order right now. So if you missed the first time going through the bast fiber stuff and you need some of these fibers to test with and spin with, they are available right now to order. And so I just reserved my own kit with Teresa this morning because I want to go through this process as well. I have spun like flax one time, maybe 15 plus years ago in a spinning class, but otherwise, I've mostly only ever spun wool and silk. So a lot of these sort of plant-based fibers, cellulose fibers, cotton I've spun one time, like this has not been at all my world. And so I am learning a lot of these things at the same time that you are learning these things as well. So I'm really, really appreciative to Kim to introducing us to some of these ideas and really, really excited to dive into this. So this is one of the things that we are suggesting is that perhaps with this bast fiber kit, this might be an idea if you need a challenge for Tour de Fleece this summer. In July, we're going to do Tour de Fleece. If you need a challenge, maybe it's spinning with bast fiber for the first time. That could be something fun to try. So I'll just leave that with you. The next course that we have coming out very, very shortly next month is the top down stranded colorwork class with Caitlin Shepard. And so this is the sweater that she designed for the course. It's called Oh Dearie Me. And I have the sweater here. Ta-da! It's really, really lovely. So this is her sweater. It is made entirely with our Sweet Georgia BFL silk DK weight yarn. It's like a really, really you can. It's lovely. It's just solid. It's substantial. It feels great. It looks great. The floats look really good on the inside. So basically, this is if you wanted to learn to knit your own stranded colorwork sweater from the top down, or if you wanted to learn to design it, you can change the yoke as well. So there's lots of things going on with that. But yeah, our hope is that we are going to do this as a make along or a knit along later on this summer, starting in August. So I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But this is one of the projects that we want to work on for that knit along in August. But yeah, if you are interested in this class, it's coming out next month on the school. And we are going to do a community event inside the Circle platform where we're kind of like looking at different colors and how we can sort of make different color combinations for these sweaters. And so I'll share a little bit more about that very shortly. Now, upcoming events. What do we have coming? The biggest thing that we have coming for the rest of the year is Knit City in Vancouver. So Knit City is hosted by Amanda and Fiona from Knit Social. And Knit Social originally started with this one event at Knit City, and then they host knitting retreats and things like that. But then they've also started to take Knit City to multiple cities across Canada. So they just recently had one in Montreal. They've done one in Toronto. They've done one in Calgary. So this Fibre Festival is going all throughout Canada. We have always, since the very beginning, sponsored Knit City in Vancouver. And so, again, we are going to sponsor the lounge space at Knit City this year. And every time we do the lounge, we try to create a space where people can come and experience some of these crafts, sometimes for the very first time. I don't know how many times we've done the lounge, but every single time we get people who come to the lounge and they're like, wow, I've never seen a spinning wheel before. I have never seen people spin yarn before. And so I feel very strongly like that is part of what we are meant to do. We're meant to kind of like be I would say we're like the tour guides. I'm a tour guide. I'm showing you all of the cool things that you could do. And if you have not yet experienced them or seen them or discovered them, I am here to introduce you to all the good things that you could do and make with these tools, with this yarn, with this fiber. I'm really excited about it, and I'm trying to get other people excited about it too. So again, bringing spinning wheels, we're going to do that. Bringing weaving looms, we're going to do that. We're also going to be bringing machines this time for the first time. So we're bringing, I'll bring my circular sock knitting machine, and also we have the flatbed knitting machine that is going to come as well. And so we'll do a couple of demos on that. So if you've never seen these things before, I encourage you to come to Vancouver and visit. We are also going to be doing our 20th anniversary for Sweet Georgia. So we'll have some treats, probably. Yeah, we'll do some treats and things like that. And we want to do a meetup for SOS members. So if you have been in the school for some time and you're wanting to meet other school folks face to face in person, this is the best time to do it, is at Knit City in Vancouver. And I know already, I heard Kimona is already, she bought her ticket and she's coming to visit us in September. And I'm looking forward to hearing about anybody else who's in the SOS who would like to come and visit us in September. I really, really look forward to seeing you guys in person. So those are the dates: September 26th to 28th, 2025 at the Peony Forum in Vancouver. I encourage you guys to look for some accommodations. Please message us if you're coming, because we do sort of tear down our store a little bit. Our studio space gets really messy before the show, and it might be messy after the show. So if you want to come and visit the studio, we should arrange something. So yes, excited for that to happen. This is next month's calendar. So lots of things on the calendar for the school. And I'm going to kind of try to go through these with you so that way you have an idea of what's happening. But basically, all of these green items are sort of topic focused study group type meetings. So we have an inkle weaving focus on June 4th. There's a tapestry weaving focus on June 18th. And then we have a weaving focus on June 9th and a fiber prep and spinning focus on June 23rd. So the fiber prep meeting is with Greta, and she has been, like I said, going through the spinning up a level worksheets and spinning with everyone. They have done roll eggs in the past. There's fiber prep and spinning. It's not just like spinning from painted top and things like that. It is basically like looking at the whole breadth of fiber and how you can prepare fiber, how you can mix and blend different colors. Sometimes it's like breaking up painted top and then mixing it with other things, just creating brand new things that were just completely unexpected. So her series is fantastic. And if you want to watch any of the archived meetings, then you get an idea of what happens at these meetings as well. In the pink, we have sort of more casual crafternoon type meetings. And so Sunday crafternoons are were hosted by Pearl, which is one of our members. So a lot of these are member led as well. So Sunday crafternoons happen, and then Monday crafternoons are with Robin, one of our SOS moderators. So Robin, if you haven't met her, oh, Robin is in the chat today too. She's here in the chat. And then I host a multi-craftual meetup on Monday evening, once a month on the Monday evening. Sometimes that moves around depending on when holidays are here in Canada. But the next one we're going to have is going to be June the 2nd in the evening. And so that will go after our June 2nd live stream where we talk about the community and the new community and things like that. And so if you have any questions, of course, you are absolutely free to come to that multi-craftual meetup and ask me questions about any and all of this stuff that is happening. And so that multi-craftual meetup is going to happen on Zoom still. Some of these meetings happen on Google Meet, some of them happen on Zoom. And we are trying to sort of consolidate all of these things as well. But that multi-craftual meetup will happen on Zoom for June. And then starting in July, I would like to move them to the new community platform. So we will talk about all of that as well. And then these ones in purple, these are the quiet co-working sessions. So if you have not yet tried to join one of these sessions, I do encourage you to come. The quiet co-working sessions are a moment where people join on Zoom. Oops. People join on Zoom and they bring projects that they want to work on, and everybody puts themselves on mute, and then everybody's working on them for about an hour. And you can get a ton done with just having people on screen that you know are there, and nobody's like watching anybody or anything like that. It's just the mere fact that someone is there with you, even remotely. You end up getting more stuff done. You end up being able to focus more on what you're doing. And so it's been really helpful for some tasks that, maybe you've been putting off, you don't want to do them, or a bit of a grind, things like that. That's a good time to come and work on that during the quiet co-working sessions. So that is that. And then if you are in the Vancouver area, of course, we have a uh, sort of a meetup at the studio once a month, second Saturday of every month. The studio is open to the public on that day, and this day, June 14th, just also happens to be Worldwide Knit in Public Day. So you guys can come if you're in Vancouver and come and hang out and knit next to our little river here outside our studio. So that is what is happening. So yes, that's a reminder about the Weavers meeting that we have. Yeah, so we are going to focus a little bit more on moving into the skills of being able to weave something that is plaid or tartan kind of style for November, because that's what our Winterful Weave Along is going to be about this year. We also have the fiber prep meetings. Yes. So I encourage you, like, if you are a new member, you've joined the school, because actually a lot of people have joined the school recently, specifically for spinning or specifically for weaving. So if you are somebody who's joined the school and you're relatively new, please come to one of these meetings, and then you'll meet other people in the school, and then we'll be able to help you with anything that you happen to be learning. Like I mentioned before, we are going to do Tour de Fleece this July. So Tour de Fleece happens every July during the days of Tour de France. And so I believe it starts on July the 5th. And we are going to have a kickoff meeting on that day. And then there's a second meeting about partway through July where we'll just get together again. And so those Tour de Fleece meetings are also going to happen on Circle. And so you can find the link for that there. Yeah, so like I said, it could be any kind of a challenge. It could be spinning a brand new to you fiber. It could be spinning that fast fiber kit. It could be doing something you've never done before. For me, I have a lock pop that I got in the fall that I have not opened yet. It's still in the box. And I also have a huge bag of white, washed, beautiful white Cotswold fleece that I bought from Pender Island a couple of years ago. And I've always meant to card it, comb it, and then spin it. And I just haven't. And so that might be my challenge for this year. Either that or the bast fiber. I think one of those two things. So yes, I need to dig in and do a little bit more spinning. And I'm very excited that a new spinning device is in the mail and it is on its way to my house, and it will arrive next Thursday. And I'm very excited to take it out of the box and use it. So I will have something to spin with, and I will have fiber to spin with, and I will have a tool to prepare that fiber. So I think I am ready for Tour de Fleece. So that's my plan. I'm interested to see if you are doing Tour de Fleece this year and what you might be doing for that tour. So that is July. And then in August, we are wanting to do a stranded sweater knit along. And so you guys will hopefully recognize the sweater. This is the Falling Leaves sweater. that was designed by Andrea Rangel. It is beautiful. And actually, Leanne is not in the chat today, but Leanne in the school has knit a beautiful, beautiful version of this with her handspun yarn. And so originally, when Greta and I were looking at this pattern, we were like, oh, this would be a perfect thing for spinning your own handspun yarn to put in the yoke as a contrast. But whatever you want to do with this, if you want to use, already dyed yarn, you want to just use two colors, you want to do low contrast, you want to do high contrast, whatever you want to do. I think that this is a great canvas to do your colorwork design on. So there's a lot of learning here. This sweater happens to be knit from the bottom up. So you knit the bottom in stockinette, and then you connect all of your sleeves together, and then you knit the yoke at the end. And so that is, yes, I have both sweaters here. So that's this sweater is one of the options for the stranded sweater knit along. And then the other option is the one I showed before, which is the Oh Dearie Me. So these two sweater options are what we're going to look at for the August stranded sweater knit along. So if you want to knit one of these sweaters, please do come join us for that. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to do a session later on in June. I think it's June 20th I put on the thing. It's a Friday, and we're just going to meet on Circle, and we're going to do some swatches. We're going to look at different color combinations that you might consider. Like, what if you wanted to make this falling leaf sweater, but you wanted the background to be light? What would that look like? What if you wanted to use, yeah, what would it look like if it was low contrast? What would it look like if it was high contrast? And I believe we will also have all of our big giant fabric swatches back at the studio, so we can look at that as well, do some color draping and see what colors would look good for body of a sweater. So all of that is coming as well. Finally, let's look at things that you guys have been making. So, this is the time where we're celebrating a lot of the things that you've shared with us inside the school, things that you've made, great successes that you've had. And so, the first one that I wanted to share is this one is ice dyeing is happening. I'm so excited to see everybody with the ice dyeing posts because I think it's such a fun and relaxed and easy way. It's very accessible, a nice way to use some of these dyes and to do it outside. And so this is by Juliet. Juliet had a big long post. So I encourage you guys to check out the post because Juliet showed lots of photos. So her daughter came to visit, and the two of them dyed a whole bunch of stuff together using this ice dyeing technique. And so there's some t-shirts, there's some yarns, there's a whole bunch of things in there. But yeah, you can see wearing the mask, doing a little bit of direct application with the dye powder on the ice chunks, which look like slices of apple. Like the shape of those ice chunks is really interesting. But yeah, you should see what comes out of it. It's fantastic. The shirt that comes out of it is so like vibrant and colorful. It's really, really fun. So yes, please do give that a try if you have not yet done it. Yeah, it looks like fruit salad. Now, this is project by Christine. It's a weaving project. It is a tartan style scarf, and I love the colors in this. I love like the lime green and the hot pink together, and like there's an accent of red, there's accents of white, and there's the accent of that turquoise blue, this aqua blue, like really I find really, really striking. But the whole scarf is fantastic. So this you can look at the entire thread here. It looks fantastic. It is gorgeous. She did mention that Christine was using all stash yarns for this project, and then she discovered that sometimes using knitting yarn because it's so soft was challenging to weave with because in the warp, I guess it's very stretchy or it's very elastic. And so you could end up with very uneven kind of tension. But otherwise, I mean, the scarf looks great. It looks like it turned out great. It might be a little bit challenging to work with, but it is definitely possible. Um, And now she says that she has a piece on her rigid heddle loom now that is in stripes in warp and weft, and she'll post that later as well. So yeah, really excited to hear about all of these tartan things that have been coming out. Um, I have been more and more interested in tartan as the year has gone on. And so looking forward to November, we're going to do a lot more of that plaid weaving then. Now, like I mentioned before, Leanne was working a lot with her hand spun yarns, and this is one of the projects that she has recently finished. I cannot pronounce this, but I think it's called the Nare cropped sweater, and it is designed by Aegyo Knit. It's Aegyo Knit, and this is made with the December fiber that we created for the Secret Stash Club for Sweet Georgia. And so it's called Hug and a Mug. And so it was meant to be really mellow and cozy and um, beigey and warm and rosy and all of that kind of stuff. It's really, really mellow. But Leanne mixed it with some targi and then held it double with a strand of naturally gray baby yak. So it just sounds amazing and lovely, but it's kind of like a shrug. It's not entirely like a sweater. It says it's a cropped sweater, but it's like two sleeves held together with a neckband here. And so you can read all about her notes. She says she puts all the details in the spinning meeting notes there, so you can go check that out. But it's really, really interesting construction, and it's these long sleeves, and yeah, it seems like it would be very, very cozy to wear. So that's beautiful, and I just love that it's made out of your hand spun yarn. It's really, really, really beautiful. Like I was mentioning before, this is what the crew are doing in Greta's meeting. So the fiber prep and spinning meetup that Greta is hosting right now, they're going through a little bit of a process where they're going through the exercise of doing these drafting worksheets. And so this one is spun by Leanne. And so, like I was mentioning before, this one is done with the merino top, but she's also done a worksheet with Blueface Leicester. Um, but you are basically number one, spinning your default yarn for worsted with a worsted fiber prep. And then you're doing short forward, then you're doing short backward, then you're spinning from the fold, short forward, and then spinning from the fold, short backward. All of these kinds of things. So all the different techniques to see, what where you can improve, what feels comfortable, what feels best for you, what you don't like, what are ways to get the most consistent type of yarn, all of these kinds of things. So um, this is one worksheet done with a worsted preparation, and then there's a separate worksheet done with woolen preparation, and then doing woolen techniques and things like that. So if you are wanting to improve your spinning skills, this is definitely a great, great course to start with. So it's kind of like that next step. Once you figure out, oh, I can spin a continuous thread, I can make yarn consistently, I can ply consistently, like what's next? This is a great place to go next. Now, this one is not Leanne. Sorry. This is another post, and you can find the entire full post here. But this is basically the first hand spun yarn, and the questions were around when do we make roll eggs? When do we typically make roll eggs? And so she spun this from a braid of fiber and then noticed that me in the course, the spinning from scratch course, that I did not make any roll eggs when I spun my yarn. And so the question is, when do we typically make roll eggs? Why would we make them? Why would we spin from them versus not spinning from them? All of these kinds of things. And so I think the answer to that question is just that roll eggs are one way to prepare spinning fiber. In a lot of cases, I have in that first class, that spinning from scratch class, I took painted top or commercial top and found a way to split it up and pre-drafted in order so I could just basically spin from that. And it's a very convenient preparation for fiber. You're getting this top, you unbraid it, you loosen it up, and then you're able to start spinning with it. But there are other ways to prepare fiber to make the fiber a lot more fluffy. Maybe you want to change the orientation of all those fibers so that they create a more airy, more lofty kind of yarn because incorporating more air or more loft into your yarn can make it more insulating. There's lots of different reasons why you would change your fiber preparation. So that's one of the things that the questions were about. The other one was about plying 2 strands of spindle spun yarn using a suspended spindle, or do I need a wheel? And so, absolutely, a lot of the answers that are in this thread are from Vicky, who I think is also in the chat today. But Vicky recommended going to check out Diana Twist's classes because Diana Twist is our spinning instructor who does a ton of spindle spinning. And she demonstrates a couple of techniques where either you're winding your spun yarn off of the spindle onto sort of like plying balls, and then you ply from plying balls. You could also set up your spindles in like a makeshift lazy Kate and then ply to a third spindle. But if you don't have a third spindle, then you would wind these onto sort of plying balls first. So that's another thing. So there's lots and lots of answers for your first hand spun in here in this thread. So I encourage you guys to go check that out as well. And we have a couple more here. This one is by Kathleen. Kathleen is in the chat today too. Kathleen Stevenson. And this is a beautiful, beautiful sweater. It's hand knit. The pattern is Magnolia Chunky Cardigan by Camilla Vad. It is lovely. Yes, Vicky is just reminding me. And then this yarn is a hand-dyed yarn. It's Malabrigo Rios, and it's lovely. This pattern is so, so pretty. I love so many of her designs. I believe Anita just finished knitting the field sweater, also by this same designer. We're going to have some photos of that one come out too, but they're just so pretty. I love the designs by this designer. So I wanted to share this because this is a nice reminder to make this. It's really pretty. So yes, going back to this one, Vicky is correcting me. This is Andre Anne's handspun. So sorry about that for missing that in the caption there. Thank you, Vicky. And finally, this is the last photo in the deck, but this is from Meg Hansen. So Meg recently got a circular sock knitting machine around holidays, around December, I believe it was, and was making CSM gnomes and has been posting in this gallery. So Meg's CSM socks. And so Meg has been posting about the journey of learning how to knit all of these socks. And so these are some beautifully done. It looks like hung hem, looks like a nice short row heel, and figured all of these things out and is now working on the ribber. Even figured out the ribber. And so you can read more about that on her blog here as well. And then you can find the gallery of all her photos of all the CSM projects here. So just really, really excited to see more and more kind of CSM stuff come out. We are working on a course right now for the circular sock knitting machine, and we are going to be recording that in a couple of weeks. We're recording that second and third week of June, and then that will come out for October. That is basically the plan, is to make this CSM course for Socktober. But in preparation for this course, I have been knitting so many socks on the CSM recently, and I posted about it a little bit, but there's been some challenges, absolutely some challenges. Like when you work with a CSM, you kind of have to pay really, really close attention to what is going on. And I find that even if I just look away for a second, sometimes I'll miss something, or a latch will be closed and then I'll drop a stitch, but it'll be dropping a stitch in a really, really terrible spot. And then I have to remake the sock. So there's a pair of striped socks that I was trying to make and trying to make them absolutely perfect, where I was making the joins at the exact same spot on the back of the heel or the back of the leg. And then Each sock had to be exactly the same size, exactly the same number of rows, like everything I wanted to be absolutely perfect. And I don't know how many times. I think I knit the striped sock 8 times just so that I could get 2 that were correct. And I unraveled the yarn over and over and over again. It was it was really brutal. There was one part where I knit a perfect first sock, and the second sock, I was not paying attention, and I was supposed to crank 65 rows for the foot, and I ended up cranking 70 rows for the foot. And so then I had to go back. And so then I thought, oh, I will just manually unravel 5 rounds and then rehang it on the machine, which is actually kind of hard to do. But I spent about an hour rehanging the sock in the right place. Finally started moving again, finished the foot, and then I was adding the waste yarn on the toe to take the sock off. And I dropped a stitch in the short row in the short row section. So then that sock was ruined. So I was going to unravel that sock to reknit it. But when I picked up the sock to unravel it, I picked up the perfect sock and I unraveled that. And then I realized I had unraveled the wrong sock. And so then I had to knit 2 socks again from scratch. So it was a very challenging time, but I learned a lot and I have lots to share. And that will all be part of the class that is going to be coming out um, later on this year. But yeah, learned a lot, and it's good. It's just practice, right? It's lots and lots of practice. It's good. So that has been what has been happening here. Um, We are working on new weaving classes. We are going to be doing some more weaving, and we're going to do that wonderful weave along in November. So there's lots and lots of things happening. If you guys ever have any questions about anything that is coming up, please feel free to message me. You can send me a DM. You can send me a message on the SOS forums or now on Circle. Yeah, I would just love to hear your feedback about what you would like to hear, what you would like to see, what you would like us to make more content about next year. Greta, who is here in the chat, has already been working on sort of producing the classes for 2026. So stuff continues to happen, and we are continuing to make courses that will hopefully bring more and more advanced information and education as we continue with the school. So thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate you guys, and I will hopefully see you in the next one of these. And before then, maybe I will see you in the community. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Bye for now.